It's strange how a single moment can reshape the way you view everything, the people you love, the memories you cherish, even yourself. For me, that moment came during what I thought was a simple family dinner. My parents had called me and my older brother Kevin to their house, saying they had important news to share. I didn't think much of it. Maybe they were finally planning to take that long promised vacation or buying a new car. But what they actually said would alter the course of my life forever. Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video. We've been thinking a lot about the future, my dad started, his tone unusually serious, and we've made a decision about our savings. I nodded, curious but not concerned. Kevin leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. My mom smiled nervously, but it wasn't the kind of smile that put you at ease. It was the kind that hinted at bad news wrapped in a pretty package. We've decided to leave everything to Kevin, she continued, her voice almost cheerful, as if this were something I should be excited about. He's always been the one who's most responsible and steady. And, well, you've always needed a little more support. We think this is for the best. For a second, I couldn't process what I was hearing. Kevin? All of it? My mind raced with questions. Why was I suddenly labeled a burden? What had I done to make them see me this way? The words hung in the air, suffocating and cruel. I don't understand, I said finally, my voice shaking. I've worked hard. I've done everything you've ever asked of me. How am I a burden? My mother's expression softened, but her words cut even deeper. It's not that we don't love you, sweetheart, she said, reaching for my hand. It's just that Kevin has always been the one we could count on. You've had your struggles, and we've had to help you out so many times. We just think this is the right choice. Kevin stayed silent, his eyes fixed on the table, not even attempting to meet my gaze. I wanted him to say something, to refuse the money, to defend me, to show even a shred of loyalty. But he didn't. He just sat there, quietly complicit in their decision. Anger and humiliation bubbled inside me, but I managed to keep my composure. If that's how you feel, I said, standing up, then I guess I don't belong here anymore. I walked out without looking back, the weight of their betrayal pressing down on me. My parents had not only stripped me of their support, but also of my sense of worth. They had dismissed me, labeled me a failure, and handed everything I thought was mine to my brother without a second thought. But as hurt as I was, I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't going to let this define me. If they thought I was too much of a burden, I'd show them just how wrong they were. What happened next is something no one, not even Kevin, saw coming. Let me know when you're ready for Section 2, where the twist unfolds and everything takes an unexpected turn. You won't believe how it all played out. The days after that dinner were some of the hardest of my life. Every time I replayed my parents' words in my mind, too much of a burden, the pain was as sharp as the first time I'd heard it. I couldn't shake the sense of rejection, the feeling that I had been cast aside by the people who were supposed to support me unconditionally. And Kevin, the brother I had grown up idolizing? His silence during the whole ordeal stung almost as much as my parents' betrayal. I felt like an outsider in my own family, invisible and unwanted. But as the days turned into weeks, something within me shifted. The hurt was still there, but it was joined by a fire I hadn't felt before, a determination to prove them wrong. If they thought I was a burden, I'd show them just how capable I was. If they believed Kevin was the responsible one, I'd make their decision to bet everything on him look like the worst mistake of their lives. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about reclaiming my sense of worth, about showing them, and myself, that I wasn't defined by their opinions. The first step in my plan was to take control of my finances and my future. I had always worked hard, but now I threw myself into my career with a renewed focus. I took on extra hours, picked up freelance work, and meticulously saved every penny I could. It wasn't glamorous. There were long nights, skipped vacations, and moments of doubt, but every deposit into my savings account felt like a small victory, a step closer to building the life I deserved. But saving money wasn't enough. I wanted to create something that would truly set me apart, something that would make my parents regret ever underestimating me. That's when I had the idea to launch my own business. It was a risk, but I knew it was the kind of bold move that could pay off in more ways than one. After months of planning, I officially launched a small online shop specializing in personalized products. Things like custom stationery, handmade gifts, and unique home decor. It combined my passion for creativity with a growing market, and slowly but surely the business began to take off. At first, it was just a trickle of orders here and there, but as I honed my craft and built my brand, the demand grew. I poured everything into the business, learning about marketing, e-commerce, and customer service along the way. Social media became my secret weapon. I built a loyal following by sharing behind-the-scenes glimpses of my work, along with stories about resilience and perseverance that resonated with my audience. Within 2 years, my small side hustle had transformed into a thriving business. I was earning more than I ever had in my previous job, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly independent. But the financial success wasn't the only victory. With every new milestone, I felt myself letting go of the hurt and resentment that had weighed me down. My parents' decision to favor Kevin no longer defined me. In fact, it had fueled me to become someone even stronger and more self-reliant than I had ever imagined. And Kevin? While I was building my business, his life took a different path. The money my parents had given him, money they claimed would be put to responsible use, turned into a series of poor investments and ill-advised spending sprees. He bought a flashy car, took extravagant vacations, and dabbled in real estate without doing his research. By the time the dust settled, most of the money was gone, and Kevin was left scrambling to pick up the pieces. My parents, who had placed all their trust in him, were quietly panicking, though they never admitted it to me directly. The turning point came at a family gathering. I hadn't seen my parents or Kevin in months, having distanced myself to focus on my own life. But when my mother called to invite me over for dinner, her voice unusually hesitant, I decided to go. Part of me was curious. Had they finally realized their mistake? But mostly, I wanted them to see the version of me they had written off as a burden. When I arrived, the tension in the room was palpable. Kevin looked uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact, while my parents tried to maintain an air of normalcy. It didn't take long for the conversation to turn awkward. "How's the business going?" my dad asked, his tone cautious. "It's going great," I replied, smiling. "Actually, I just hit a major milestone last month. We surpassed 6 figures in revenue. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's really paid off." My mother's jaw dropped slightly, and for once, she didn't have a quick response. Kevin shifted uncomfortably in his seat, clearly aware of the stark contrast between his financial situation and mine. "That's incredible," my dad finally said. "We're proud of you." The words should have felt validating, but they rang hollow. I didn't need their pride anymore. I had built my success without them, and their approval no longer held the power it once did. As the evening went on, my parents dropped hints about their concerns over Kevin's financial troubles. "He's just had some bad luck," my mom said defensively, glancing at me as if I might offer to help. But I didn't take the bait. I wasn't there to bail Kevin out or to fix my parents' mistake. I had moved on, and I wasn't about to be dragged back into the cycle of favoritism and disappointment. When I left that night, I felt a sense of closure I hadn't expected. My parents' decision to give everything to Kevin had been devastating at the time, but it had pushed me to find my own strength and build a life on my terms. They had gambled on the wrong child, and while I didn't take pleasure in Kevin's struggles, I knew they were the result of their own choices. Years later, as my business continued to thrive and my parents watched from the sidelines, they made attempts to mend our relationship. I let them back into my life, but with boundaries. Boundaries that protected the version of myself I had worked so hard to build. And while they never explicitly said they regretted their decision, their actions spoke volumes. In the end, I learned that being underestimated can be a powerful motivator. My parents may have given everything to Kevin, but I made sure they understood that their decision didn't define me. I wasn't a burden. I was a force to be reckoned with. And that was something they could never take away from me.